With the release of the new Ragnarok Origin Classic, there is already a noticeable impact on Ragnarok Mobile Eternal Love. This new version promotes a different approach by reducing heavy P2W elements, removing traditional cash shot pressure, and focusing more on a battle pass system. Naturally, this creates curiosity. Some players from ROM are starting to explore and test whether this new environment offers a better balance. But based on past experience, we also need to stay realistic. We have seen similar promises before. Earlier Ragnarok versions also claimed reduced monetization pressure, but over time, systems were added that became more aggressive. So for now, the direction of Ragnarok Origin Classic is still uncertain. It depends on how consistent they are in maintaining that balance over time. At the same time, this situation reflects back to ROM. Competition is not only about new content, but also about player trust and long-term sustainability. When players start looking for alternatives, it usually means something is missing in the current system. Continuing from last week's discussion, the issue of progression remains critical. With the introduction of new systems, like memory upgrades and advanced equipment progression, the cost and difficulty continue to increase. This creates a heavier burden, especially for mid-tier players. One practical solution for the developers is to adjust older progression systems. Instead of only adding new layers of power, older systems should be made easier and more accessible. Reduce resource requirements for outdated upgrades. Improve drop rates for older materials. Allow faster catch-up for players who are behind. This does not reduce the value of new systems. It creates a smoother progression path and allows players to stay engaged without feeling overwhelmed. At the same time, the goal of progression should not only benefit top spenders. Progression should also be meaningful for mid and lower spenders. Of course, players who spend more should progress faster. That is fair, but the current gap is becoming too large. When drop rates are extremely low and costs are too high, it becomes difficult to keep up, even to complete older systems. Before finishing previous progression, players are already pushed into new systems. This creates a cycle where progress feels incomplete and never-ending. If new systems keep getting added without easing older ones, the overall progression becomes too steep. Over time, this discourages both returning players and existing mid-level players. The goal is not to remove monetization. The goal is to create a system where players can progress steadily. Spending feels optional, not mandatory. Progress is meaningful across all player levels. The game remains sustainable in the long run. This will define how both games move forward, whether players stay or start looking elsewhere. A few examples can clearly show this issue. First is the equipment mirror progression system, which was implemented around 5 years ago. With the current meta, players are required to be more versatile. You are no longer locked into one role. You are expected to switch between DPS, support and utility, and that requires multiple sets of properly upgraded equipment. But the problem is, many players like me are still stuck at plus 14 or below, trying to push to plus 15, where the bonus stats increase significantly. The F2P option for resources from weekly content are extremely limited, and if you want to speed it up, the only option is to use upgrade materials from the item mall, which cost around 20 BCC per attempt with no pity system. So when chasing this progression, you are literally watching your resources disappear without guarantee. Another example is the Relic system. This system is also very important, especially for higher level gameplay. It was introduced around 3 to 4 years ago, and to reach top tier effects like True Sight or HP Block, players need to rely on random relic pulls. Each attempt can cost around 700 million Zeni, with no guarantee of getting the required piece. While the upgrade and leveling system for relics has been improved over time, the core acquisition system is still heavily RNG-based. This creates a situation where players spend massive resources, but receive little to no meaningful progress. And then goes the auction system. At some point, the auction system itself becomes a problem. There are cases where certain players intentionally control the market, buying out key relic materials just to block others from progressing. So it's not even about luck anymore. It becomes a matter of access. If you don't have the resources to compete in auction, you simply don't get the item. Then Dev made Relic as 12-12 reward, giving the impression that everyone has a fair chance. But in reality, we already know how it plays out. In major competitions, the same names continue to dominate, not just because of skill, but because they can secure every resource needed without restriction. At the same time, farming these materials directly is not realistic. The drop rates are extremely low, often described as chance within chance, making it unreliable as a progression method. Meanwhile, other items in the auction often remain unsold, creating imbalance in the in-game economy. If progression continues in this direction, while new systems keep being added on top, the pressure on players will only increase, and over time this becomes exhausting, not because players don't want to progress, but because the system itself becomes too demanding without providing a fair path forward. This is why this issue needs attention, because progression should feel achievable, not punishing, and it should be fair for everyone, not only the most paying player who entitled of progress. At the end of the day, what players are asking for is not something unreasonable. We are not asking to be the strongest. We are not asking to remove spending from the game. We are asking for a system where progression feels achievable, where effort is rewarded, and where players have a clear reason to keep going. Right now, the concern is not just about difficulty, but about direction. When progression feels too steep and too punishing, it slowly pushes players away instead of encouraging them to grow. I hope the dev can take this seriously, not just as feedback, but as a real opportunity to improve the game, make progression more accessible, ease older systems so players can actually complete them, create a better balance between new and existing content, because the real goal is simple: encourage players to stay, maintain a healthy player base, and build a game that can continue to grow over time. If players feel that their effort matters and their progress is meaningful, they will stay longer and support the game in their own way. Alright, that's all for today's video. Thank you for watching, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.